Okay.
Okay, good morning, guys. I hope you're enjoying Computer Science Week. I'm sure with Miss Griffiths, you definitely are because she does all kinds of cool things, computer science, even when it's not Computer Science Week. So today we have the amazing Adam Azula with us, and he's going to tell you about Data Analyst. And he is works for the district, and I'm going to let him tell you more about himself so we can get started. All right.
All right. Good morning, all the wonderful students of Putnam County. I'm so happy to join you all today. I hope you're enjoying Computer Science Week and you're learning more about different careers, opportunities, technologies, and the like. So I have just a small slideshow that I've prepared for you all to kind of explain the career of a data analyst. Uh, this And then I'll try to, I'm going to be good. I'm going to check my phone and I'm going to try and stop so that if you want to ask any questions at the end, that you ask any questions. So if you have a question, write it down on some scratch paper, whisper it to a friend so you don't forget, and they'll remind you whenever it's time to ask questions. And I'd love to answer your questions if I can. Um, so I am a data analyst with the school district here in Putnam County. My name is Mr. Azula. I was born in Palatka a long time ago, 39 years ago, and pretty much my whole school career has been in the schools of Putnam County. I went to Mosley for elementary school. I went to Beasley, which was CeLo, for middle school, and then I went to Palatka High, as well as I went for 2 years to St. John's River State College, where I then transferred to Tallahassee to Florida State University, where I graduated from. I was one of the fortunate students who worked hard and got a Bright Future scholarship because I know that my parents couldn't have afforded it to send me to college. So it was my job to work really, really hard in school so that I could get a scholarship so that I could follow my dreams. I have worked as a classroom teacher in the past. I taught elementary school and I taught middle school science as well, which was a lot of fun. After that, I worked for 5 years in the IT department, so in the information technology department here at the district and for other school districts, providing IT support for anyone in the district who needed it, whether it was parents, students, teachers, principals, it didn't matter. I would help anyone. It was a great, great job. And now I'm fortunate enough to both support teachers in the classroom as well as school leaders and administrators with attaining their goals. Here's just a little bit about me. When I'm not working, I enjoy playing golf. I have been a drummer for almost 30 years. It's hard to think about that, but for 30 years, I've been playing drums in different bands and at the house. And I'm also a comic book collector on the side. And here you can see a little piece of my Instagram where I share different comics and things that I've been collecting and working on. So I have lots of fun hobbies. I probably am a geek. If you see behind me, I've got a little R2 unit there that comes to life every so often. But let me share with you technology through the years for me, because the job I have now did not exist when I was a student your age. It did not exist in this format. So you have to think about, as you sit in a classroom right now, that a job that you may have when you're 30 years old or 39 years old may not even be invented yet. It may be so far in the future that no one's thought of it, or it looks completely different. This was the first computer I remember working on in schools was an Apple IIe. I don't even know if it was in color. All of our telephones had cords and were attached to the walls. We didn't even have cordless phones when I was in elementary school. And over here on the right, this was the first gaming system that I had, which was the OG Nintendo Entertainment System with cartridges and maybe a 6-foot cord for the controller so it could stay connected to the actual device. So technology has come a long way, obviously, over the years. And for you, again, what's technology going to look like 20 years from now? If you would have told someone 25 years ago that you were going to take a picture of them with your telephone, they would have thought that you were crazy and they would have sent you to the nut house. So, where did my love of tech start? Well, it started with desktop computers because that's really what we had. There weren't really laptops available back then, so everything was done with a personal desktop computer. And what I learned to do was to dig into those operating systems. Sometimes we call them OSs for short. Dig into an operating system and find out how can I customize my computer for me. And once I found out that you could actually program computers to fit your needs or the needs of your family, well, it just started to blow my mind from that point, and I started to dig into computers. Now, here is what the Google homepage looked like when I was 15, maybe 16 years old, and I was a freshman at Palaca High School. If you logged into Google, this was early internet for us normal people, this is what you saw. And once I was able to connect on the internet and watch videos, use email, do research projects, I had to know more about that. I was very fortunate at the high school because I had a teacher who was teaching a class that was devoted towards writing websites, programming websites, developing websites. But back then, there were no websites like Squarespace that had templates and just allowed you to drag and drop and customize your website. You actually had to go to a notepad, like you see right here, and actually write the HTML code out. So in high school, it was like I was taking Spanish classes, I was taking English classes, but I was also taking this other class that was devoted to a programming language. And that was very, very important to my future success. It planted some really good seeds there, knowing how to write background code. Now, we don't have to do a lot of this today because we have a lot of services that will help us and provide us with templates. But I always tell students that the more languages you can learn, the better off you're going to be, even if it's a variety of computer languages like Python, Ruby on Rails, C++, whatever these languages of programming are, you will make yourself more valuable. You'll actually understand English better the more languages you take on. So in the year 2009, I got a new job here at the district where I was running the district's help desk and I was a computer repair technician. Now, this obviously isn't a picture of what I look like, but this is kind of like what I did with my job. I had to problem solve and help teachers on the fly solve their problems with their computers or their software. Helping people solve problems is the best way to learn about a software or to learn about a piece of hardware. Because if you can teach someone how to use it, that means that you have an intimate knowledge of that software or hardware as well. I loved my job at the help desk. We were busy from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I loved helping people find solutions to their problems. The phone never stopped ringing, but I loved being busy and always learning new things. Part of that is a word that you're going to hear a lot as you get jobs and you think about careers, and it doesn't even have to be technology related, but is this idea of customer service. which means being very nice to people, following through, being very respectful, trying to understand them. This is a skill that is important no matter what your job or career is. If you can develop skills to provide good quality customer service, people will like you and people will go back to you because you are helpful to them. So I thought that being a computer repair technician was just awesome. I loved it. But now my new title is I'm a data analyst. Sometimes we get called data visualization creators, data scientists. It's all one and the same. But here's what I do in this role. I help people achieve their goals by helping them understand all the data related to the problems that they have or their goals so that they can understand it. Now, normally in this environment, working in a school district, I think a lot about human behavior, and I try to quantify that and visualize human behavior to look for different patterns so that we can better serve students and we can better serve teachers. This, for this kind of tech computer sciencey job, it really is a service position. So I'm a servant leader, which means I like serving other people that have problems or have goals because then it makes me feel useful in my career. So for our school district, I help leaders understand what's happening at schools so they can strategize how to improve schools. So I hope that by helping people, they can help other people. Here is a picture of me doing some of my work. I'm presenting a visualization on a website that I created to a group of educators in Colorado. This is not in Putnam County. This isn't even in Florida. This is in the Rocky Mountains, which was an amazing experience to be able to. I was invited to present some things that I had created to other educators. And the best part was they paid for my plane ticket and my hotel room, and this is just one aspect of this job that I like a lot, is meeting new people and sharing interesting findings that I've noticed. Over here, you'll see this is something that I created. This is a set of dashboards, interactive dashboards that I created for our community after they took a survey last year. So instead of reading 1,358 individual responses from all the people across Putnam County who took this survey, I created a set of visuals so that we can use our eyes and our brains to understand what data we have really, really quickly without spending all that time going through each response. So this is actually an interactive web page that I created, taking all that data into account. This is a picture of when I work with teachers and we're analyzing data. It's very much like your classroom where we sit together and we try to solve problems. We use math, we use reading, we use writing, we speak, we listen to one another. This skill of learning how to communicate and work with people is something that's very, very important to this job, because it never stops if you want to be better at your job. You'll never stop being a student if you want to learn more about the world, learn more about yourself, and learn more about helping other people. Most importantly, one aspect of my job is I make sure that we are following the law. I make sure that we're in compliance with the law. That means I have to certify all the data that I present as being scientific, factual, and verifiable. That means if I come up with a number, or if I come up with a finding, every other person in the world should be able to use my same process and come up with the same conclusion. Um, we all have to follow the law. The law is for all of us, and it's very important that in a school district where we want to support all students, no matter what color you are, no matter what background, no matter what kind of issues you have going on. We need for you to be supported, and we need to make sure that we're following the law when we do that. So that is one serious aspect of my job is I can't make things up, because if I make things up, I would be breaking the law at that point, and I'm not going to do that for anything whatsoever. So where does this data come from that I use? Well, over here on the left, you've got some students that are clicking away on a keyboard. That's one way that I get data, is from human behavior. And I do want to stress this right now so that you know how important this is. Anytime you do something on a website, on the internet, or on an app on your phone, you are creating bits of data that can follow you throughout your whole life, in a sense. So you have to be very careful with what you do outside of school. We do a lot of things to protect you, our IT department, with our Chromebooks, with our wireless access points. We do a lot of things to protect you from bad people on the internet, but you also have to do a good job as well. Now, when you click or you are entering information into a website, maybe you're taking a USA test prep, maybe you're taking an iReady, all of that gets stored on a server somewhere. And you see this gentleman here, he's working on a server rack where all that data is stored. Because we have almost 11,000 students in the district. So when we all take FSA, when we all take iReady, when we're all taking progress monitoring or Alex, all this data has to be kept on really, really big computers. And those big computers are right across the office from me. And they're so big, they have their own air conditioning system so they don't get too hot. So what I do is take data from the server and I download it onto normally a spreadsheet or a database. Here's a fake spreadsheet here, so this isn't real people in our district, but this looks like a lot of what I spend my day looking at, which are different columns and rows of data. So in math class, when you're doing graphing and you're doing tables and things like that, don't think that you'll never not see this again. You will see this again, probably, because most people I know in the world know how to interact with a spreadsheet or have to do work on a spreadsheet at some point. So it's very important. Then I take all these little bits of data that are on a spreadsheet, and then I can create what you see on the right side here, which are different visuals that interpret this data, that try to tell us a story about, for my case, human behavior. I'm a storyteller, I'm part artist, part mathematician, part language expert, and we have to put it all together. Which is great because I love school. So I love learning about new things. There's not a day that goes by where I don't learn something new. It's very important to me. Also, an important aspect of my job is to keep all data and information that's private confidential. So I have to know about new security updates. I have to do the research on my own to know about potential threats. And I have to make sure that when I use and store student data, that no one can ever access that who doesn't need to access that. I'm very serious about that. Everyone who works with me knows that, because I do not want to be at fault for anyone's data getting out on the internet that doesn't need to be there. You need to think about this as well when you're on an app or when you're on the internet interacting with websites. Is your data confidential? Because there are a lot of bad actors out there that want to find your data and exploit it, and we don't want that to happen. We are all dedicated here at your school district to keeping your information confidential and secure. It's very important to us. So as we kind of wrap it up here, who can become a data analyst? Any person can become a data analyst. All it takes is practice. Here's a list of some subjects that I incorporate into my career on a daily basis: algebra, statistics, art, psychology, reading, writing, and science. And don't get stuck into the trap thinking that just because you're not good in math, that you'll never be good in math. Or if you're not good in reading, but you're good in math, that you're just a math person and reading's not your thing. I don't believe in that whatsoever. I don't like that. I wasn't good in math in school because I always said, when am I ever going to use algebra? I don't need to know order of operations or PEMDAS or anything like that. And the funny thing is, I use it every single day now in my career to help other people. So there is a place and a purpose for it. And here are some of the tools that I use on a daily basis. So I've got my iMac. I use Excel spreadsheets every day. I store things in my Google Drive, and I use a program called Tableau to visualize all that data and to make it pretty. Now, I know I'm coming up on the end of my time. Uh, are there any questions that anyone has before we kind of wrap everything up right now? Any questions from students?
Please feel free to turn on your camera and your mic and have the students go ahead and ask questions. I do want to make a comment. I am so glad how you mentioned that the math that you're using now, because so many times you hear the students say, well, when am I ever going to use this? And now
Right,
they see, oh, yes, you are going to use it. There's no telling what career you go into. Um,
right.
a lot of
Here's a
students,
here's something that I'll share with you guys thinking about math. This is a database that I made of all my comic books. So these are the graded comic books that I have. What I want to know is, these are a little bit like the stock market. Like, I want to buy something for a low price and potentially sell it for a higher price, so that I can make money and keep my hobby going that way. So I've created this whole database here, as you can see. And I also have funky little graphs that show me how my investment is growing over time. I have even more graphs down here at the bottom that show me different investments and what's growing, what's not growing. Is it a good time to sell? This is just for my hobby, but you see how my career bleeds over into my hobby, to where I scrub the internet looking for data related to sales, and I plot it here on this graph. Um, this is, I'll show you my public Tableau account. This is an account that I've created, and this houses all of these different visualizations that I've created for our school district, as well as other school districts, that analyze all kinds of different information. Uh, this is, for example, is something that I did to help principals understand who was taking what math courses and what scores were. And I've blacked out everyone's names so you can't see names. But this is one example of creating a table and formatting the cells to turn a certain color based on certain information. It's not very difficult, but it makes a big difference when you've got a lot of data and your eyes want to hone in on certain colors. Here is a funky visualization of meteorite landings going all the way back to 1583 that a colleague created using this same software, Tableau. But it shows you some of the largest meteor strikes throughout the last 500 years. So, for example, in Canada, there was a meteor strike in 1818 that weighed almost as much as 60 Mustangs weigh. So 58 tons right there. So these are just some examples of data visualizations. There's whole websites dedicated to people creating websites sharing websites. This is a good one. This is Google search histories by state. What was the most searched for keywords in Google based on the day and the year? So you can see here in 2018, almost every state was looking up the most popular search word in Google was Fortnite. And it just keeps on throughout all of 2018, Fortnite, Fortnite, Fortnite. But this again is a visualization created by a colleague that just helps us understand what's going on in the world. There's lots of different jobs and careers available for people who want to analyze data, who want to look at the computer screen all day and present their information and certify that it's scientific and correct. So that was just a fun little visualization that I thought you guys would like to see. But anyway, that is it. I know our time is up for presenting, but are there any other questions that I could answer? Any students have any questions, or teachers?
All right. I want to thank everyone for joining today. Thank you so much, Adam. That was fantastic.
No,
A
thank
lot
you
of
all for
great
joining. I appreciate it. I hope you have a
information.
good day today.
Yes, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Computer Science Week and send in pictures of all the great things you guys are doing for Computer Science Week. And we will see you later. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye. Bye.